I finally shipped my first SaaS called as Proofy Bubble. It has only been over a week since we launched, and we already have over 18 websites that are using Proofy Bubble that have automated their social proof. And that is just really freaking exciting because just a week ago, I was having a lot of doubts whether I should ship this, whether it would be worth it, if I would even get a single sale, and why would anyone trust me? All of these doubts just went poof the minute I made a sale. So in this specific video, I just want to share that journey with you. What are some of the lessons I've learned, the mistakes I've made, covering all of that in this specific video. Now, some of these lessons are startup lessons and others are more technical ones. I'll be covering it all, so let's dive in. So first off, what is Proofy Bubble? Proofy Bubble allows you to automate your social proof by connecting with the data that you already have with real-time pop-up notifications, such as you can show live social proof, live sales, live signups to your waitlist, user actions, and so on, just to make your site feel more alive, to build trust and credibility. Now, this is the bubble from Proofy Bubble. So if someone has subscribed to your newsletter, someone has purchased from Toronto and purchased the Pro plan, then you show that. And we have a bunch of different integrations such as ConvertKit, Lemon Squeezy, Stripe, SendOwl, and so on. And we are planning to add more and more integrations as more users join in. So why did I build Proofy Bubble? What gave me the confidence that this idea was gonna be worth building? Well, the simple answer is that trust is incredibly important whenever you are selling anything online. So I wanted something like this to exist for myself when I switched from my 9-to-5 job to being a tech educator online. I only had testimonials from my past colleagues, but I had nothing like this. I had zero sales, no newsletter. None of my products that you see on my channel that I've been showcasing so far existed. Having something like this that automates my social proof by looking at the data that I already have was just a really cool idea that I wanted to pursue. On top of that, the competitor products were just ridiculously expensive. So I wanted to build something for indie creators, small businesses, founders, educators, creators, and so on, so that they can automate their social proof and showcase that in the most efficient manner for the website visitor, which is why I built Proofy Bubbles. So if you have a few ideas that you're not sure if you should pursue, just take a good look at those ideas and see which idea would be something that you would want personally and you would use it. Like if someone were to sell you that idea, you would pay for it, then you may want to consider building it because there is already one person using it. And chances are the fact that you are using it, you are going to buy it, chances are other people like you also would want that as well. So that is my litmus test for building a SaaS app. On top of this, when I was launching my Next.js course, I did not necessarily have any social proof because it was the first time ever that I was trying to sell a Next.js course. And having a social proof automation would really help. So for example, this is Proofy Bubble in action. 34 people have subscribed to the Next.js course. Now, whenever any of my students that are interested in buying a course, leveling up their Next.js skills, just seeing that makes them feel less alone. They're not the only ones that are interested in this site. And there are potentially more people that are signing up to the waitlist as well. That gives you credibility, but also creates that FOMO that you're going to sign up to the waitlist and potentially buy my course as well. And that is the goal of Proofy Bubble, to help you convert website visitors and help you generate more revenue, which is awesome. And I was able to do that with Next.js course. And I built Proofy Bubble at the time and we just saw, wow, my sales are really going up. So we decided to convert this into a SaaS and sell it, because if it helps me, I bet it might help at least one other person. And it did. So that's awesome. That worked out. You don't know your customers as well as you think you do. Now, even though I was building Proofy Bubble for myself, and let's say you're building an app or you want to build an app where you are not the user even, don't just have assumptions about your customers, because you would be proven wrong. And I've been learning so much every single day since I launched Proofy Bubble, because I was so wrong about my customers. I felt like I knew everything about them because I was building it for myself, but I'm just one person. And the more information that you have about your customers, just talking to them, that really helps. So whoever has joined Proofy Bubble so far, I've been just sort of messaging them and chatting with them just to see what features they would like, what is something that really helps them, help speed up their experience and so on. And we have been shipping a lot of things based on that. So as you can see the change log over here, this is one of the feedback that I received from one of the customers to have the ability to multi-select integration and add bunch of them together. Now, this is something I wouldn't have thought of. So do not have any assumptions about your customers. Simply just launch it, just ship it, talk to them, and you will have enough already to build those future features, and you will have enough already to know more about them. Urgency is extremely important in your landing pages. When I initially launched, early access ends in 14 days, 50% off, or this timer did not exist. And that just doesn't create any sort of urgency for the user to purchase from you, for instance. And having an urgency is extremely important. So I added 50% off launch special, as well as showcase 30-day money back guarantee, along with a bunch of other things that I added on the landing page to showcase that bit of urgency so that users can take action quickly. Now, we all know that whenever there is a sale and we know we are going to get a product for less, is only when we actually buy. Which is why Black Friday is the biggest sale of the year, because so many people have their products discounted, and after Black Friday the discounts are gone. So that is the same urgency I want to create with Proofy Bubble, not in a mean way, but also just like showcase that, hey, actually we are only going to run this for 2 weeks, and please take advantage of it if you haven't already. And adding these two really helped a lot. There were more people signing up free Proofy Bubble and checking out the product, so we definitely saw that growth there. A lot of the customers that ended up joining, or potential buyers as well that reached out, they all said that if you go through this specific landing page, it tells a story and all the questions were answered, and this landing page did a really good job. And I'm quite happy with it, because your landing page should tell you a story. But one of the lessons that I learned was to showcase what is life without Proofy Bubble and what is like life with your product. So having this red and green sort of sections will really help you, because instead of, boring static reviews that nobody reads, you're going to get eye-catching pop-ups that people notice. Showcasing what is life without and what is life with your product also definitely help, I would say, convert more website visitors into customers. In terms of tech stack, I have used Vite for building the actual bubble that shows up on the website, because I wanted something that's pretty lightweight and easy to build, and that is Vite. I did not want any bloat of the framework. We definitely went with Next.js for the landing page, for the dashboard page, and so on. Even a server is in fact built in Next.js using the Next.js APIs, and just simply using server and client components and so on. In terms of libraries, we are using ShatCN UI library as well. So that has also been working out really well, because all the components that you see on the landing page is in fact ShatCN. I'm using also Tailwind to design the entire landing page as well, and using NeonDB as a backend and so on. But if you want to know more about my tech stack, I have created a video on my channel that walks you through exactly the tech stack that I use. And the lesson here is that go for a tech stack that you like and you're comfortable with, and that is good enough. For example, because I feel like with the tools that we chose, it definitely helped us a lot, because we just knew exactly what to do, because we were so efficient in building Proofy Bubble. So 100% I would say go for a tech stack that works for you and no one else, because if you're able to ship faster with it, that's the goal here. Obviously maintain quality, but still shipping faster and a tech stack that works for you is what works for you. Let's get technical for a second. If at the time when we launched, if you had a lot of integrations in ConvertKit, Lemon Squeezy, Stripe, Sendout, or any of the other integrations that we have, if you have a lot, we try to make an API call to those services to get the data that we need, so we get the latest data about the customer's products and so on. Now, this can be a problem if you have a lot going on and you have default timeouts set in your serverless functions. So if you're using Next.js, a serverless function does have a time limit. And in order to get around it, what you could do is extend the maximum duration by adding a property just like this. This function can run for a maximum of 5 seconds, but if it takes more than 5 seconds, then it is allowed to run for a specific period. That's exactly what we did. We set it to 60. If it's more than 60, that means definitely we are doing something wrong. It doesn't even ever go here, but there were certain cases which we further optimized later, but there were certain times where it did go a bit more than we would like, and the serverless function failed. And we don't ever want that for our users, which is why I would highly recommend to, if you're using APIs with Next.js serverless functions, then set this max duration property. Analytics is incredibly important. Definitely keep that in mind whenever you want to launch a SaaS product in general. Every single button and link that you see on this page is fully tracked. We don't know who the user is, but we know that someone clicked on this, for example, which means that we know, for example, in FAQs, which FAQ is someone really looking at. So every single time we notice that 50 people in the last hour are checking, what is Proofy Bubble? That means clearly we're not doing a good job of describing what Proofy Bubble is. Second, is it a subscription? We did see, is it a subscription being clicked a million times. It is not a subscription. So we just added these three things: pay once, yours forever. And it has led to people clicking that FAQ a bit less than before. So that is incredibly important. So definitely make sure to track. However, you also want to make sure that your code doesn't break when you're using a third party. I'm using Fathom Analytics temporarily to track my site. For example, I plan to switch to DataFast by Mark Liu. But if you click on track event, at this point, if you don't have this condition, window is not undefined or window not Fathom, and if you run this directly, then what's going to happen is that your site might break, because if track event does not exist, and if, let's say, even if you don't have this question mark, for example, but still, like, track event can break if for some reason the script that you add for any of your analytical tool has not loaded yet for some reason. Now you may think that obviously it's going to load. That's the assumption that we made as well. Obviously things are going to be fine. However, there are certain browser plugins that users have added that disable analytical tool, that disable these things, and that means this code is going to just break your website, which is why you want to make sure you check if it's not undefined and the fact that window.fathom does exist. Now, I'm also added this additional check, even though I don't have to. The track event also exists. But again, all of these checks will prevent your pricing buttons or any of the buttons of your site to fail. This did happen, so keep in mind to create a function just like this one. You also want to make sure that you have a development environment and a production environment to test everything. Now, I know a lot of you just want to ship your SaaS app, and I get it. However, just having this simple check is development is going to save you a lot of time. So what you do is set this node environment variable inside of your environment file and set that to be development. This just tells you that, hey, this is a developer environment. But when you deploy, wherever you deploy, I deploy to Vercel, but wherever you deploy in environment variables, don't add anything. This means this is automatically going to be false because Node.n is not development in that case. And add these checks wherever you have the database URL. So you have a test database versus a prod database. So have that switch automatically. You would also be able to test better locally having this, because you don't want to run out of credits if you have strict API restrictions and so on as well. So having this check will definitely save you a lot of time, because now suddenly you have a lot of things that you can add behind a isDev flag and add more logging in development, for example, or just overall test better. So definitely something you want to add if you are shipping your first SaaS. And this is something that definitely helped a lot, because we added a lot more logs whenever it is development versus in production, because we don't want to bloat production. Now, speaking of which, in the next config file, there's an option for compiler. Through this option, we can tell the compiler to remove all logs or only keep the error logs and so on. So for example, if you remove this entirely and set this to true, you're saying that I don't want any console logs in the browser's dev console. But if you just say exclude errors, that means that you're saying exclude everything else except just keep the error logs. Now, this will prevent any sort of accidental data being leaked to the client. If you have a lot of data, sensitive data of the user even, and showing in the console, that might make them trust you less with your SaaS. So make sure to have this option, because this has been definitely a time saver. No one wants to hear this. I hated to talk about it. I know you don't want to hear this right now, but make sure that you check the APIs that you're using and check when would they return a 429 error. And what this means is if you're trying to make too many requests at once, that indicates the client that, hey, they have sent too many requests, and they just block it and return an error called as 429. Now, you may want to handle this so that your entire app doesn't end up failing, but this is a commonly known practice that a lot of APIs implement called as rate limiting. And rate limiting simply means that no one is abusing their APIs and they are strictly adhering to the limits that the API has set. Now, make sure that before you go live to production and before you ship your app, to quickly check what the rate limits are of the APIs that you're using. This way you'll know to be careful and add necessary conditions in your app. If it is too much, then you may want to let the user know that, hey, try in like a few minutes so you don't spend a lot of money on APIs unnecessarily, for example. Having said that, make sure to handle the 429 case, because in our case, we did get a 429 error from an API, in fact, from ConvertKit specifically, and we just added a few conditions to work around it to cache our data a bit more. So the requests are not one after the other. We give it some time and ConvertKit works fine otherwise. And ConvertKit is known as Kit now, by the way, but I've been using ConvertKit since the ConvertKit days, which is why I'm saying it. So make sure to handle this case in general so that your application does not break. One of the things that can happen when you have deployed to production, it's obviously go time and you're really stressed because obviously you have shipped an app and you're getting users, which is what happened to us. You're definitely going to encounter errors if this is your first SaaS app, 100%. And when you do, you should know how to resolve them or also figure out where the error is to begin with. And that is where logs come in play. So for example, I use the Vercel logs. So as you can see, I have a bunch of products here. But if you click on Front-End Snacks, which is my newsletter, and go to the logs tab, this is where all the logs are going to show up. And as you can see, these are all the newsletters that have been requested on my site right now. So logs, Vercel logs in general are really helpful. And you can also search in those logs. So for example, if I say newsletter, only the word newsletter will show up. One thing that we found really helpful after we shipped it is create a pattern that you just stay consistent with. You can call this whatever you want. You can call this debug or log or whatever, and stick to it and copy it and paste it, for example. So if I go here and paste it, obviously nothing exists because I'm not using this pattern in Front-End Snacks, but in Proofy Bubble we are, because that's what we agreed to. That's what we decided to do. And that just allowed us to figure out exactly what's going on because we were able to just parse through our logs and figure out where the application might not work as expected or whether there's a bug or so on. Again, it helps a lot with debugging. The second thing that I would say really helped a lot is creating these two fields in your database tables called as created at and updated at. Now, the reason why these two are important is, let's say you make a change and you're debugging your application, you're trying to make sure it's working fine. And when the record does get created in the database, the created date could be the date. But a record gets updated, that's when the updated at date would be updated. So now you know when the record was created and you know when the record was updated. When you have a problem and you're not sure when the issue is, where you should solve it, these two fields are going to be incredibly helpful because you would know exactly which customers would be impacted, what you should do, what action plan you should take to resolve those issues, and so on. So having these two fields will tell you, again, when was it created, when was it updated. And a lot of databases have this option of automatically doing this. Postgres already has an option to automatically just update it as well. So that's what we did to update the fields. There were quite a few bugs that we ended up resolving because of it, because we were able to track which customer created a record and updated a record and who would be getting impacted by this specific change and so on. We didn't have a lot of bugs, but we did initially, like a couple of them, and these fields definitely helped a lot. So definitely add these two columns in your database. I really hope you enjoyed this specific video. If you want me to document my journey and create videos like this as I keep growing Proofy Bubble or other SaaS apps that I ship, then please comment below and let me know what is it that you would love to learn from my SaaS journey, and I'll be happy to talk more about it. I just want to know if you're interested. Now, as next steps, if you're interested in learning more, then definitely check out this video on my simple tech stack for shipping SaaS apps. I'm planning to ship more SaaS apps, and this is exact tech stack that I would use to ship not only Proofy Bubble but other SaaS apps as well. Or if you want to check out this video or entirely, it's a 9-hour long video to help you build and deploy your own AI SaaS application. And we do that all the way from landing pages to pricing to actual deployment. So definitely check that out if you're interested. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.